Welcome to Community Essentials.
Something is happening to me. Something's coming over me. Got me wide awake tonight.
Hello and welcome to another exciting segment of Community Essentials. I'm your dynamic host, Nosakhere, and today we have a wonderful guest, CEO of MouthPeace Entertainment and Lady Locks. Our wonderful guest, Shanara. How you doing today?
Hello, it's good to be here.
Good. Glad to see you again. A return guest, and we're always glad to have return guests. Now, last time we saw you was doing some performances and some collaborations with Game Pro. Tell us what you've been doing since then and how you got started in your artistry.
Oh man, before I met Game Pro in '03 to be exact, I'm a Chicago native, and it just goes back to my humble upbringing is on the West Side.
Right.
I had really, really good teachers, great teachers, from daycare all the way up through grammar school, who were really old school and in the fact that they made sure that I knew how to speak well
Right.
and write well. So they encouraged me to be in a lot of writing contests, and it was always about writing. And so I always had a voice. I was a little short girl with the big mouth. So at any assembly, Shanara was probably either singing or speaking or performing. And then as the rap era started to develop, it just took over everything that I did. So rap was a part of all that I did. It was rap pretty much all the way up into high school. And the last thing for rap was like in college when I was at Columbia. Did an awesome show with all women. But then I got into some other things. That's when spoken word was becoming really popular, which is definitely just another derivative of the rap thing. And I had went overseas because at that time I had a corporate life and came back. And that's when the spoken word thing really kicked off.
Right.
And one of my very first performances was over at the Spoken Word Cafe, which is no more. And a friend of mine suggested that I meet up with Game Pro. And he definitely wanted to have me on his album. So that was a new and a first. But at the same time, spoken word was becoming a big thing for me also. And then that kind of catapulted into the acting thing in
Acting.
'05.
Yeah.
So I never really laid my spoken word down or my rapping down. It's just that once acting came into the picture, I decided to be serious about it, get the training, and ever since then, acting has kind of like moved up on the list a little bit. So
That's
so
good.
that was like my beginning.
Absolutely. I mean, that's good. That's how it is once you get into it, kind of get your feet wet, get going. You kind of recognize what it is that you enjoy, and you find your niche, and you start to develop and everything. I think your artistry is beautiful, and I definitely want to talk about MouthPeace Entertainment. That's a nice tagline. Tell us about that.
Oh, I love it. Just so everyone knows, it's mouth and peace as the peace sign.
All right.
MouthPeace is, and also in addition to my other business that we're going to talk about in a short while.
Oh yeah.
Was birthed about 6 months ago.
Okay.
I had the mixed blessing of being able to leave corporate America, thank God. And a couple of my good friends that I graduated from college with encouraged me to not just be an actor.
Right.
And especially we should all know to have multiple streams of income. And as I told you before, I've always written, always been a writer, always been in poetry. In the last 6 months, my life is pretty much developing to me finding myself to be a mentor to some younger people. And my passion for our people, Black people in particular, and also young people to know their full potential, mixed with the fact how much I love the arts, is kind of what birthed MouthPeace. And so my good friends who are still in business decided that, well, Shanara, aside from your artistry, if you're not performing somewhere, how else do you create your living and so forth? And then I had the scary thing of being very sick and having to cancel some performances and miss some money. And then I confessed that I had ghostwritten for some people, hadn't charged them anything. because I just wrote, and I wrote well,
Right.
but I didn't think nothing of it. And so I took the time to sit down and to create the business entity. I've always thought I had a business mind, but to create MouthPeace, which is apart from Shanara, the artist, which is the actress, the vocalist, and that's me as an individual. But MouthPeace Entertainment in particular is Shanara as a facilitator for workshops. And I'm really, my niche, the unique part about that is the fact that I incorporate my faith. I am a Christian. So when you go to my website, which is mouthpeacestar.com, you'll see on the home page it says, I am a woman, I am a Christian, and I know where my voice belongs. And that's a part of the thing I try to pass on as I teach, the thing that gives me the hope. And I want to make sure that the people I talk to, whether it be young people or even people my age,
Right.
to let that show forth in their performance. Passion is everything. It's everything. Even when you mess up on stage, you can pretty much cover it up if you have genuine passion in what you're doing. So MouthPeace is a way to hire me as a facilitator for workshops, whether it's ministry or community related. And also as a host. For the past 8 years, I've done promotional modeling. When you go to my website, you will see my promotional bio, in which I've either been a host for live demonstrations, whether it's in stores or at live events, for any product you can think of, whether it's Glade Candle Scents or Burger King or something, I've represented. And so again, that's me hiring myself out. Also, as far as like parties or hosting and things like that, I'm great on the mic, great as a greeter and things like that. So just taking that part of me serious and knowing that I have the experience, I have the confidence, and that's the business entity of MouthPeace for you right there, MouthPeace Entertainment.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Now, we're going to get a little taste of that, of your style a little bit later. But we're going to hold that off just for a minute and talk a little bit more about what you got going here. Now, I think it's really good that you root everything that you're doing in your passion and in your spirit. And as Christians, we have a wonderful challenge. I'll call it a wonderful challenge because it really is just kind of centering what it is, what your purpose is, what it is that you're doing, and aligning it all to make it all come into fruition. So that's a blessing to be able to do that. Now, I want to also talk to you about Ladybug Locks.
Okay.
Tell us about that.
Ladybug Locks, even the name, again, it was divine. Prior to me leaving the corporate world, it was very interesting. 2 days before that happened, I was walking to my job at that time and ran into one of the elder customers, talked, she embraced me, pulled back, and she saw a ladybug resting on my coat. And she said, you know, you got a ladybug on your coat. And I said, that's weird. And I actually just flicked it off on the ground, thought nothing of it. The very next day when I got home, was in one of my bedrooms on the top floor, and I heard a buzzing around the light. And I looked. It was a ladybug. I had been in this house for 2 years, never saw a ladybug before, shrugged it off. But then when I was talking to a good friend of mine the very next day, and I was telling about the odd occurrence of these ladybugs flying around me, she said, I gotta look this up. And true to her spirit and nature, she looked it up and she found out that ladybug means a renewal, restorative properties and things like that. And I just felt like I've never been superstitious. I base everything on my faith. But I thought it was very interesting that the ladybugs were following me. And so that stuck with me. Also, I had just started my locks like 3 weeks prior.
Look good, by the way.
Thank you. They were started at Amazon Salon, and I attended their Sankofa Expo in October.
Nice shop. Yeah,
yes. And I was really, excited and was contemplating on whether or not to take their class. So over the winter of 2009, going into 2010, I took their braider series and their lock series. Learned a great deal about natural hair care, which I thought I knew a lot about because I've been 9 years natural myself. Rocked my afro, everything, loved it. But I just centered down to commit to my own. And through their training, I finished their lock series back in March. And I started their apprenticeship last month in April.